Hey YouTube, what's up? Matt Price, Soundrolling.com, here with my room with a view. Again, loving the puns. Back in the hotel, another fun day of filming. Thought I'd try and cram in a quick Q&A session. I don't know, try and get some more interesting thoughts and opinions of what everyone is thinking about. Currently shooting a short film. Kind of about there's a lot of kind of bodybuilding fitness type involved, and there's quite a lot of characters that are not wearing many clothes, so having a fun time trying to do lots of booming at the moment, as opposed to radio miking, because there's literally nowhere to put it. Hoped everyone liked the video that I did yesterday about miking the helmet. That worked amazingly well. Almost sounds like it was done in a studio. Literally that clear, and there wasn't that much background noise at all. So mixed in with boom, very beautiful. Loving it. So, I'm live right now, unless you're watching the video replay. So get in those questions and put it in the comments. Again, trying to split them all up, and everything is on the soundrolling.com/live-QA for questions and answers. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? Or what do you want me to talk about? Another very successful sound chat with Watson Wu as well for my 48th sound chat. Going to try and get more people in. Have to kind of keep on that kind of thing. Trying to get around people's schedules and everything. Okay, brilliant. First question already. So, what sound gear would you consider buying secondhand, and which would you avoid? This is a great question. One, because the Sennheiser 416. Now, this is one along with a number of other microphones with actual rip-offs that come from East Asia, I guess. So quite a lot in China and places like that. And there's a few articles that I actually need to remember where they are, but how you tell the difference between a fake 416 and a real one. Authentic one. And so 416 is definitely something that I would look to definitely check before, especially, first the telling point is kind of the price, and so 416 is just the first one that comes to mind. I guess with buying any secondhand gear, you kind of want to ideally be able to go there because the person is likely, hopefully, to be another sound recordist if you're buying sound gear, or at least a musician, and you just want to test it out. So things like wireless, you want to make sure all the buttons work. Sometimes the tactical buttons on G3s fail, and people will kind of put that in the comments and you won't think that much of it, but if you can't actually physically edit a setting, then it kind of becomes a bit useless. So I will put links to those second-hand kind of things to look out for in the blog, but I'll have to do that later on. So when you're watching this video, yeah. But great first question. So if there's any more, and I've kept my battery life still failing because I'm on this cool little Osmo just to keep everything kind of smooth. So still got a bit of time left. So, let me know what you think. Do you like my t-shirt? It says Matt on it. I thought it was very clever to have a t-shirt with your name on, especially for the first day. Trying to remember people's names is very, very tough, especially when there's a lot of people and it's a short amount of time. So, yeah. Any other questions? I do have some gear with me as well, so I could possibly turn this into, into another kind of tutorial of something, maybe. How's it going, Simon? Simon Nordberg. So get your questions in, Simon. That's what I need to see. We've got quite a few people watching, but we just need a few more comments. So I'm probably good for another 10 minutes. Again, trying to keep it quite short, but keep the content coming out there. Really happy with the kind of feedback and the vibe of how everything's going. I'm still working on the app at the moment, still doing lots of other stuff. And obviously doing filming, doing a couple of features in post-production, finishing those off. So, yeah, trying to fit all this stuff in is pretty tricky. So these live kind of Q&A sessions make it really easy. So come on, there's a couple of you watching. Get in those comments, and I'll be happy to kind of share my opinion or advice. I'm trying to think back if there was any that was asked before. People ask me about like TA3 connections. I guess maybe I'll just share what I'm using for my different gear at the moment. Still got the 41. Actually, I need to do a new video. I was able to test the difference between the MKH50 and the MK41 from Sherps, and they were really similar. It was really interesting. On the 688, there was a different. How to promote source? Yeah. But on the difference between the 50 and the 41 was actually like really similar. The 41 needed a bit more gain because I was trying to match levels of me talking rather than anything else. So I think the 50 has a better suck, but yeah, they both sound exactly the same, really smooth. If anything, the Sherps was I felt it was a little bit deeper, and maybe that's why when it was a bit further away, it was kind of picking up a bit more, not giving as much suck, because the 50 had a bit more kind of just more vocal range as opposed to just a bit deeper and a bit higher. So that was really interesting. I'm going to try and get that. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it on video because we were just in the middle of a take, and then he had to shoot off. But it was good. That's the wrong way round in the video. And the wrong way round. I don't know how to fix that. Have we got any other ideas on how to promote the Source Crew app? I've actually finished the Source Crew app. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just focusing on the Soundrolling app. Thought that would be much, I don't know, it's a better use of my time. Unfortunately, there's a bit too much hassle in trying to get stuff for free, so not doing that anymore. You can't download it for free anymore, and I'm just focusing on providing resources for the sound community, because it makes sense to champion that kind of first, and then I can move on to other things if I somehow get like any more time ever. Jeff asks, what's the best timecode slate in my opinion? My name is backwards. Yes, that's very true. Damn. Okay. Well, you always see videos backwards of yourself and it looks strange, doesn't it? But Jeff asked, what's the best timecode slate in your opinion? I haven't had many chances to work with timecode slates. The ones that I've had have always been kind of the ambient ones, and they seem to work fine. I mean, I've seen a lot of people with the Betso, just the clock interface that's going on, and what they do is the camera just goes over, goes back, and then they just clap the board. So don't get many chances to use timecode slates. I'm using more timecode devices, such as the Tentacles and things of that nature, but never really a slate just to bring the whole thing together. It's definitely on my list, but again, it feels like a bit of a... There's still not... I'm not being asked for it regularly or anything like that. I'm not renting it out, so it kind of feels like it's still not really worth the purchase, especially when they're kind of close to £1,000. So I'm still going to better utilize that in buying like more Electrosonics, or maybe even switching to Wizzy. I don't know, because in the UK we have such a small band. It's really tricky to see where that's going to go in the future. You don't know. So having a wider range to start with, it's going to save me hopefully a lot of money. Andrew Peck says hi. Hey Andrew, how's it going? Simon says, I'm new to all the wireless stuff. Can I connect the G3 transmitter to any receiver, not necessarily the G3 receivers? What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to disable pilot tone. And pilot tone is basically a special kind of, how do I describe it? Simply a special kind of way of trying to just have one G3 connect specifically to another G3. And so you want to disable that. And in theory, yes. Although I haven't really tried it with my Electrosonics or anything else like that. So, it would be interesting to try, actually. But when you have Electrosonics, you don't really want to pair them with a G3. But, for instance, a G3 will work with another G3 that's an IEM. In theory, as long as they're in the same range and you're sending one out and you're receiving one in, it's fine. It works better the other way around. For instance, if you wanted to send... like me, have wireless cans, and someone else, then you need obviously one transmitter, but you need lots of receivers. So that's what I would do for that. So yeah, frequency ranges, if you link them up, then they should talk to each other if pilot tone is off. Pilot tone will try and zone in on just, I think, same brand maybe, or they'll just lock into that frequency. And so there might be some fights. So have a look in the settings for pilot tone and turn it off if you're having problems, and test it out. Always best to test these things out, because sometimes in some scenarios, in some places, somewhere with all the different variations of gear, it's going to be trickier to do. Quick question, for the Tentacle sync on a DSLR, how would it work? Basically, you're turning it, instead of to line level, you're turning it to mic level, and what it's going to give you is a timecode track that's actually embedded into the audio. So it's going to be this horrible, like, connecting to the internet sound, like meh, all the time, but that's actually the timecode. And then you get a timecode reader like the Tentacle sync software that can actually read the timecode and translate it into actual metadata that you can then use to sync everything else up. So that's how it would work, and you would get, there's a little inbuilt mic in there as well. So you get half the channel as audio, you would get half the channel as this kind of horrible sound, which is the time code. So when you play both back together, like half of it should sound horrible and half should sound normal, as a rough guide track for like the slate number and that kind of stuff, and the clap, hopefully. And then you should be able to use it in post. You just have to convert the audio time code into, I guess, literal time code, for lack of a better word. So I hope that answers that question. Have you used a Sennheiser EK402 before? I don't think so. Which one is that? Is that the little wireless pack? Their new wireless pack range? I know the EK's 600. Is that their digital series? Don't have that much experience with them. I've definitely used some of the EK ones before. Woselek asks, what's your experience in MS recording? Not that much. Is it a huge difference between one MS mic and a set of cardio and figure 8 mics? I think in terms of that, my instant reaction is potentially. It kind of depends. I guess the only experience I've had with like a single MS mic is I think it's the 418, which is just a single shotgun from Sennheiser that does mid-side. I guess with the proper, do you just have more range with it? I mean, maybe it's better components, but I would have to do a test. I really need to do a test. And get into more of doing MS recording. Don't get to do it that much on set. Don't get that much time to kind of be able to test these things out, or even a chance to just go out and record stuff just for post-production yet. But when I do, and I probably will, you'll see a video. Romanille, very long time no see, and I will be speaking to you very soon, I'm sure. Yeah, no problem, Andrew. So, yeah, keep your questions coming in, guys. Got a little bit of time left. Won't try and keep these too long. Sinella or Rycott? This is always an interesting debate. I don't think I've tried both of those brands recently. Envision, maybe. I've got the Super Shield. I've got the Super Shield one. So I'm not sure what the is it Lycra ones? I'm not sure what brand it is. I like the Sinella, the look of the Sinella. Again, I think they're both. I think Rycott's taken a lot of stuff from Sinella in terms of trying to get all those mounts and surfaces for things like the Cyclone and stuff. But because I still use their Super Shield range, just because it's easy, especially for one-man band stuff. I haven't had much direct comparison, but apparently very low. I'm very happy with whatever mounts I have at the moment that are in there. So Jeff asked, what's the last piece of kit that I invested in? It was probably quite a while ago. I I guess it would be. Oof. I'm trying to think. Probably the last big one was the Lectrosonics, I guess. I mean, I kind of bought bits and bobs, but the last big thing was just buying four Lectrosonics, because obviously that's like 10 grand. So that's the last kind of painful memory that comes up with a kid's investment. But you got to remember that you got to buy once and then you cry once, as opposed to just crying lots and lots of times. Doing a quick search, the EK4 is a dual slot receiver that works with all of their transmitters. I think it'd be probably very good. I think the EK range, the top end range of the Sennheiser stuff is very, very good. I think it's used a lot in theaters, definitely. That's what I know for sure. And yeah, I think it's very good. I think there's so much of the top end stuff that is so similar. It all comes down to, especially when you can combine various different mics. They obviously don't. Some of them, like the Sennheisers, come with their own type of mics. But you can definitely do a lot of chop and changing depending on what type of mic you use and what situation you're using it in. It's one of these preferential things. That's why the only thing about getting a wider band is either whether you go for the SRC or you try and go with like Wizzycom and get even wider. Some people commenting differently about the sound, haven't experienced the limiters or that kind of thing. Done range tested and they're very similar. So it's interesting. I need to do more tests generally. It's very hard to try and get all these tests like coordinated at the same time and find people with that gear and get it all done. And yeah, so I'm trying more and more, and again, the YouTube channel kind of encourages all that. So hopefully, and again, if any of you are in London, let's hook up and do something really cool, and we'll kind of get more general information out there. So what is the compromise of using line-ins for wireless mics on the sound devices range? The compromise? I'm not really sure. The line-ins. I mean, all my wireless runs at line level, for instance. I mean, basically, it's running at line level because the transmitter is already boosting it up to line level to be able to hear it. So I ideally don't want to add any more gain to it. Depending on the type of mic that it is, maybe you want it at mic level, and you want to, yeah, without trims, yeah. So without any extra gain. Oh, you mean so you can't do it anymore? I mean, you can add more gain on like the 688, for instance. If you go to channel 7 through 12, if you use so opposite to the headphone recorder one, I don't know which way you're seeing this video, but the opposite to the headphone volume, opposite like for the menu one, if you go into 12 channel mode in the menu, in the recorder, or is it inputs? Inputs, I think, and you go to the toggle view being 12 channel, you click to like channel 7, for instance, and if you just turn that up, like by its own, then that'll add some more gain or add some more trim to it. If you press it in and turn it up, that's when it does the high pass filter. But if you just turn it up, then you're going to be able to add more trim. But ideally, that's why you need to constantly be able to, and I'm constantly with like my phone changing my Lectrosonics gain inputs, because you've got to have the gain right to then choose if you want to add or not. Again, with very dynamic scenes, I guess the compromise is that it's harder to change the gain without having a trim pot. So that's probably the compromise, I guess. Other than that, I don't think there should be any coming to my mind, unless anyone can think of anything else. So I hope that, yeah, please give me more feedback in the comments if that helps. You rule, thanks. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Because that's on my sound devices you can do that, and with my CL6 at the top, I can route them anywhere. So if I need to route some of the mics to the other TA3 channels, and then I can still use full XLRs. I guess it's just if you don't have a trim pot, you can't do an as dynamic scene. You kind of have to do it all with faders. So what you could do is you could change your inputs to mean that your fader is, or your ISO track is post-fade, and then take it off the LNR mix, and then you would be changing the level of the post-fade based on the gain. But it's just that kind of thing. I don't know if you got a CL12, like a mixing desk, if that would give you pots for all of them. But I guess that's the main difference. I really like the CL6. I find it really useful, no wires. Also the powering, really, really useful to just have one MP1 power, all my wireless and my mixer. I think 10 seconds is still, I wish the power save thing was like 20. Oh, cheers, Jeff. Thank you very much for your questions. I hope that kind of helped. And do feel free to add me on Facebook and all that kind of jazz, and we can jam some more. But yeah, with the with the fading desk, I wonder if you get more. Yeah, so the powering is really nice. I wish they made the power save 20 seconds, because trying to change a battery, it's fine if it's just like on a car and I can just whip it out. But for bag work, it's a pain in the ass at the moment. I still rarely get to 1 second left and be able to change it properly. But then it still fast boots, so yeah. The bag's getting pretty heavy. I'm pretty heavy with an Orca bag, but I really like it for travel. Audio HXT for exterior with Recordist baseball. HXT1. What do you... Is that... that's your last purchase. Jeff's already gone, but I thought I'd read his question anyway. It's hard to keep up with these. Got another question. I know many people use the MKH50 and the AT4053B. I've not had that one. The one I use for interiors is the MK41, and that's the shops. And that's just because I got it on an amazing deal. And like I was saying earlier, I did a comparison with the 50 compared to that. Very, very similar mics. If you need more suck, it's a quieter scene. Probably the 50's better. I might buy a 50 as well. But really love the MK41. It's kind of nice, deep. You can get lots of really nice accessories because the 50 is a solid unit, but the 41 is a capsule, so you can get a right angle one, might give you a bit more on the ceiling. It's good for hiding in cars, so there's advantages to both, and I'm definitely trying to move more towards a mindset of having just more than one go-to thing. It's the equivalent of if you always go to the 416 for a shotgun. I think you should have multiple things. I have a 416 and a Super CMIT. I always use the Super CMIT, but that's technically giving me kind of two choices. It's giving me a kind of a wider unprocessed one and a bit of a tighter process channel. And I really like the effect that gives both in the mix and because I can record both because it's digital. It's just giving me those options, and it's kind of all about options really. So I think I'm going to end this here because it's been about 25 minutes. Great to hang out with you guys, and it's good to see that this is kind of going well. I've got a low battery sign, so I can't see how many people are on, but I know we've got 10 or 20, so things are picking up. This is only episode 6. I haven't been doing it that long, and again, it's not that I'm professing that I know everything, but I'm just trying to make more resources for lots of people and just get the conversation going. I think if you ask a lot of these questions on a forum, you can get bashed by a lot of people. And I'm sure I will probably get something wrong at some point, and people can call me out or educate me. And then everybody's winning, aren't they? Because we all know more about something than nothing. So I will see you guys later. You can hit like on this video and feel free to share this about. Again, once it goes into the kind of Q&A sections, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find. There's kind of shortcuts to play the videos at the right points, and I'll get on that now basically. And if you haven't already and you're watching the replay, you can of course hit subscribe, support my work in however many ways you want, on Facebook, on my app, on Instagram, all that kind of good stuff. Let's just keep the conversation going. So until next time, see you later.